Hi there, good afternoon and welcome to Central Florida Weather Vlogs. I am Debbie and I have set up this vlog primarily for people who are planning on relocating to the Central Florida area. 4 years ago I moved here, and before I came here I wanted to know what it was like to be in Central Florida during a major hurricane. I grew up in Southern California in earthquake territory, and I watched with horror many times on the news the devastation that happens in the southeast. I remember Hurricane Hugo and Hurricane Andrew, and definitely Hurricane Katrina. So when my husband got his job offer here in Florida, I was really scared to move down here because it was my memories of Hurricane Katrina were very fresh. So I tried to do a lot of research to find out what it was like here. I knew that Disney built their buildings to withstand at least 110 miles an hour sustained winds, and I thought, wow, that far inland, why do they need to have their buildings that strong? So I set out before my husband accepted the position to see what it would be like. We were moving to Lake Mary at the time and wanted to see what it would be like to live here during a hurricane, and I was able to get hold of some video footage, not any explanations or narratives, but some video footage of flooding that had happened during Hurricane, I think it was Jean, and some reports on city data about Hurricane Charlie. So I've since reported on Matthew, which is not actually on this vlog, it's actually on another vlog, my family vlog, but it has, if you Google it, you might be able to find it, Hurricane Matthew, Lake County, and you might find several of the videos for that. I've also vlogged a little bit of Tropical Storm Alberto, a lot on Hurricane Irma, and now I'm attempting to do Hurricane Dorian for anyone who would like to. There's a lot of people relocating to this area, 1,000 families every week, I think it is. So this is a non-monetized vlog, and I don't plan on monetizing it, at least not now. I have other friends here that are hobbyist meteorologists that I couldn't hold a candle to. I'm not a meteorologist, I'm not a hobbyist, I'm just a mom and a little bit of a neurotic person myself, and who always likes to research and know what's ahead before I make decisions. So this vlog is for anybody that's like me. I have notes on this post. I posted on Sunday when we kind of knew what Dorian was going to do, and we know a little bit more today, so I thought I would go ahead and do an update. And I have notes so that I don't forget what I wanted to talk about. This is a ramble, but it's a ramble with some guidance. So a week ago today, I was at Disney, and I came home and found out that we were waiting for a tropical storm, Tropical Dorian, as reported on Mike's weather page, which I check on. I totally forgot about Mike's weather page until last Tuesday, and I thought, it's hurricane season. I should check on Mike's weather page and see if anything's coming up. And lo and behold, he had a live post that day talking about Tropical Storm Dorian. And at the time, the National Hurricane Center had reported Tropical Storm Dorian to be a tropical storm coming towards Florida with no mention of hurricane. But Mike kept saying, I think this is going to turn into a hurricane. I can't see why it wouldn't. And then a couple of days later, when it was reported as a forecasted hurricane, Mike felt very validated. And that was last Wednesday, and that was the day that my preparedness mode kicked in. And I'm actually quite tired right now because preparedness is a lot of hard work, as any Floridian will tell you. And I talked a lot about that on my last post. A little bit about Mike. Mike is a hobbyist weatherman. He had a great interest in reporting the weather, especially hurricanes, and started up a Facebook page and a page called spaghettymodels.com. I'm a supporter of Mike's weather page, and that is my go-to for forecasting in this area. He won my devotion when he was the only person who was right on Irma and said that Irma may go up through the center of the state. I said this in my last post as well, but bears repeating, that he was right and everything else that we heard was not right for whatever reason. So I've been watching his posts twice a day to see what he's talking about. And so far, he's been pretty on the money. And he always says this is not a forecast. This is just one of many reports. So, going on, the Bahamas, Hurricane Dorian has now been in the Bahamas for more than 36 hours. We've been waiting for a long time, since Sunday, for it to make a turn. At the post that I had made on Sunday, which was actually 48 hours ago, I was listening to Bahama radio and reduced to tears based on the reports that I had heard. And when you have a hurricane on top of you, which I have, 120 mile an hour sustained winds, the eye of Irma over my head in the middle of the night, you can't fathom 36 plus 48 hours plus of 200 mile wind gusts and 185 mile an hour winds sustained over your head. And I will talk about that some more. The people in the Bahamas that were not in shelter are able to go to shelters. We're told to go up into their attics with hammers and life jackets. Footage that we see now, we see people, they've knocked out the sides of their attics and they can see the ocean raging past their attics. The hurricane turned today, finally. It's going a swift 3 miles an hour, northeast, northwest, and that is true. Is northeast or northwest? It's making a stair-step motion. It goes northeast, well, actually northwest, northwest, northwest. It's even done a little northeast, northwest. Dorian cannot figure out which way to go. So what's happening is there are two high pressure systems, and Dorian is squeezing through those two high pressure systems. Just maybe this is TMI. I can't think of a better way to explain it than a baby squeezing through a birth canal. That's just the way it looks. And according to Mike and others that I've listened to, the hurricanes like to go towards the North Pole. And these two high pressure systems have created a way for Dorian to get up there, and Dorian is trying to go north. And because of the other forces pushing against Dorian, we can say that the high pressure systems are keeping Dorian in transition right now. And you can hear the little pitter-patters from the outer bands of Dorian as we speak. So the hurricane turned today, and originally on Sunday when I was speaking with you, the report was that Dorian would follow like Matthew and would be 10 to 30 miles off the coast and go straight up. Well, our coastline is not straight, but along our coast up to the Carolinas, 10 to 30 miles east of us, east of the coastline, not east of me, east of the coastline. I'm 50 miles inland. And now it is predicted to go 70 to 100 miles off the coastline, which is a much better report for us. If Dorian goes 10 to 30, we will see more damage than we saw with Matthew because the wind field is wider on Dorian. So we're hoping that he stays 70 to 100 miles. We'll still see some surges. The surges are expected to be 7 to 9 feet. They were originally predicted to be 18 to 20 feet. The rain amounts were originally predicted to be 20 to 36 inches. Now they're predicted to be 9 to 12 inches. In my area where the rain was predicted to be 9 to 12 inches, it will now be 2 to 4 inches if we see any rain at all. But we're seeing rain. I've already seen a half inch today, so I think that 2 to 4 is a lot more accurate. I do think that this is an answer to prayer. In fact, I know it's an answer to prayer. I know probably tens of thousands of people in the area. Florida has a lot of faith-based people. And I know personally, people from my church, tens of thousands of people fasted and prayed for Dorian to move. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We'll go back to the prep now, or to the conditions. Gas stations now have gas because of the state making conditions easier for the gas trucks to get to the gas stations. We had plenty of gas. The gas stations were running out partially because of the worry of people and the amount of people that were going to the gas stations, and now less people are worrying, so less people are going to the gas stations. And also there were some escorts of police escorts of gas trucks going to gas stations because there were so many people gassing up the trucks couldn't get in to the gas stations. Now I'm going to talk about Disney. You have to talk about Disney if you live in Orlando, right? Yesterday, my family had fast passes that we booked over a month ago for Labor Day Disney. And we decided to keep those fast passes, and we went and we walked on every ride for, let's see, I think we got every ride that we wanted to go on and then some, and we walked on every ride. And the fast passes were actually not necessary, and we actually didn't need them. I mean, we used a couple of them, but we felt foolish because the standby line was just the same amount of wait time. We did have some weather, we did have some wind, and we did have some rain, but it wasn't like any other Central Florida afternoon. It was still the same usual rain, except for we didn't have thunder and lightning, which we normally have. And this has been my observation, that we don't usually have as much lightning during a hurricane. And I think that's because the source of the storminess comes from a different dynamic. Usually when we have our afternoon storms, it's from cold and hot fronts hitting each other, and we don't necessarily have that with a hurricane. Dorian has had lightning in it, and we have actually had some thunder today, but not as violent as we usually have, so that was different. The effects of Dorian are starting to be felt. They will be felt more keenly tonight and into tomorrow in the Central Florida area. I don't know what to expect for that. And that's why I'm doing this vlog, so that I can record that and help people to know what to expect in the future. Okay, now I'm going to talk about prayer. I've already talked about this topic with family members and created controversy. I've read about this topic on Facebook pages, and I've seen controversy. And there's a question that people ask. Okay, so if prayer worked to get Matthew out into the ocean, and it's working to get Dorian out into the ocean, then why didn't it work for Michael? Certainly there were enough praying people in the Panhandle to keep Michael away. Certainly there were enough people in the Bahamas to keep Dorian away. I myself witnessed the prayers on the radio in the Bahamas. I'm going to answer to this question with, I don't know. I don't know why the prayers of many pushed Dorian out into the sea, and why the prayers of many did not push Michael out of the way of the Panhandle. What I want to ask you is, why do we ask that question in the first place? And does God answer our prayers? We ask that question in the first place because we want to know that if we pray, that God will hear our prayers. If we're faithful, God will hear our prayers and protect us. Does God answer our prayers? Yes, He does. And what is our job? Our job is not to guess or second guess God's purposes. I've tried that and I failed miserably, and I've created controversy with that. But I will tell you that I know for certain that He answers prayers. I've seen it. I've seen Him I've seen him move tornadoes away from my house in the Midwest as an answer to prayer. I've also seen him change lives in the Panhandle as an answer to prayer. I have worked as a volunteer for call centers for hurricane relief. I have talked to more than a handful. Oh, my battery's going to die soon. Hopefully I can wrap this up before it dies. I've talked to more than a handful of victims for Michael, where people who lost their houses knew that God had answered their prayers. Am I going to tell them that God did not answer their prayer because the hurricane actually hit? None of this is for me to answer. All I know is that it does answer prayer, and I've lived long enough to know that. And I also know from the experiences that my family have had in working with helping people chop up their trees and put away the debris that has come into their yards, that God has brought people together. And I know that this is one of the purposes that he accomplishes with these experiences. There were people that welcomed my white husband, my white boys, into their homes, who had never seen white people in their lives ever. They welcomed them into their homes last fall because my husband and my boys were the only people that showed up in their front door asking if they needed help with the cleanup when nobody in their local area offered. They were in communities where when their children had never seen white people. I am not going to say that's the reason why God sent Michael to the Panhandle. I am only going to say that these things bring people together. And if we're going to be people that take sides or people that try to second guess God, we are going to go against the purposes that all of humanity wants, all humanity should want, is that for us to have one heart, one mind, and to have understanding for each other. And my boys and my husband developed a great understanding and love for the people of southern Alabama and of the Panhandle area of Florida because of the days that they spent helping them clean up after Michael. And I developed a great love after speaking with them on the phone. And I expect the same miracles to happen from all of these experiences. These are not something that we would wish on ourselves. We would prevent them if we could. If we could throw a nuclear bomb at a hurricane and have it go away and have it not hurt us, then we would do it. But we don't have control over that. But we do have control over how we respond. And we respond by helping our neighbor and loving our neighbor and not second guessing what Mother Nature or what God brings at our doorstep. And that's what I've learned in the 4 years that I've gone through these hurricanes. And I'm grateful to learn that. I'm not looking forward to seeing any more suffering. I've seen plenty of it. My husband and my boys have seen a lot more. I do enjoy the community feel that we have. I wish we could keep it all the time. Even in my own neighborhood, we reach out to each other during these times, and I look forward to having that. I crave that once I've felt it. But being that we are humans, sometimes we need trying times to bring us together. So I hope I didn't offend anybody by what I've said. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I haven't completed all of my thoughts. I'm a novice in my experience. I'm a novice in my experience in life. I've been pretty isolated a lot of my life. I have more prejudices in my life than I would like to have. But I am open, and I love learning, and I love having my eyes open to new perspectives. And I love growing in love with God's other children. And I guess that's all I have to report for now. And maybe tomorrow I'll have more reports. We'll see. Right now it's just a gentle rain. We've had a few little storms come through. We'll see what happens. And I'll end here because I probably have about 1% of my battery left. So thank you for hanging in there for the end of this 20-minute ramble. Oh, that's a record for me. And we'll see what I have on my next post. Take care, everyone. And if you're in this area on the southeast part of the country, stay safe. Take care. Bye.